The Gladiator's game of deception, how yawning became a crime in Rome. In the packed Colosseum, where blood mixed with sand and roars of the crowd shook the air, a single yawn could spell disaster. It all began in 73 BCE, during the height of gladiatorial games in the Roman Republic. The masses demanded entertainment, and the state delivered it with steel and spectacle. But the turning point wasn't a bloody duel or a political scandal. It was a yawn. Titus Varro, a senator known for his sharp tongue and distaste for theatrics, sat front row at a major gladiator bout honoring Jupiter. Halfway through a fight between a Thracian and a Myrmio, he yawned. Not out of disrespect, but boredom. Unfortunately for him, it didn't go unnoticed. A local satirist captured the moment in a popular broadsheet, ridiculing Varro for being more lifeless than the dead on the arena floor. The public laughed, and Varro's enemies in the Senate saw opportunity. Behind closed doors, the upper ranks of Roman power grew anxious. Gladiator games weren't just sport, they were political theater. The Colosseum wasn't about violence alone, it was control. Public morale, civic pride, and political support all hinged on these displays. A yawn wasn't just an insult, it was subversion. Soon after, a peculiar decree was passed, Lex Occitantis, or the Yawning Law. Initially dismissed as satire, the law banned yawning at state-sanctioned games, citing it as an act of public indecency and civic betrayal. The penalty? A hefty fine or, in repeat cases, public humiliation. Word spread fast. Scrolls with caricatures of yawners being dragged from amphitheaters circulated through Rome. And then came the first high-profile arrest, Gaius Marius Fulgencio, a merchant accused of yawning during a naval reenactment. His punishment? Shackled at the arena gate wearing a wooden mask carved with a grotesque yawning face. From that point, the law became real. Gladiators noticed. So did their sponsors. And somewhere, a more dangerous game had begun. The Roman elite moved fast to legitimize the Lex Occitantis. They declared that yawning signaled weakness, indifference, and even sedition. In a culture obsessed with gravitas, discipline, and spectacle, a yawn became an act of rebellion. Patricians argued yawning disrupted the sacred harmony of the games, offending the gods. Priests backed this claim, saying the mouth, when opened without purpose, invited evil spirits. Augurs claimed yawning mid-combat could shift omens. The Senate passed more provisions. Those caught yawning during official ceremonies could be marked as potential enemies of the Republic. But it wasn't just about yawning, it was about control. Yawning was visible, easy to accuse, hard to defend. It became a tool. Gladiators, who had always been pawns, saw a new opening. In some circles, they began paying off watchers to fake yawn accusations against rivals' supporters. A supporter removed from the crowd mid-game was a psychological blow. Certain factions used it to silence critics. Yawning had become weaponized. The real innovation came when Emperor Tiberius secretly funded a group of actors to sit in crowds and scan for yawns. These oscitatores were paid well to observe and report. They carried scrolls, noting names, facial expressions, moments of distraction. Rome had invented the first behavioral surveillance. Public awareness shifted. People trained themselves not to yawn. Children were taught to suppress it with bitter herbs. Roman medical scrolls offered brutal remedies, from tongue piercings to incense inhalation. One physician, Galen the Younger, warned that suppressed yawns caused spiritual blockages. He was arrested for philosophical obstruction. Then came the games of 45 BCE. A mysterious challenger named Vexillus entered the arena, not for combat, but for demonstration. He walked into the Colosseum, stood silently and yawned. A long, defiant yawn. The crowd froze. The guards hesitated. And then from the top seats, someone else yawned. Then another. Then hundreds. It was a protest. Vexillus vanished before arrest. Some claimed he was a ghost. Others believed he was a former senator. That moment, however, fractured Rome. Half the city demanded an end to Lex Occitantis. The other half, led by a new order of yawning inquisitors, pushed for more surveillance. By 30 BCE, yawning wasn't just illegal, it was treason. As the centuries rolled on, Rome fell, but traces of the lex occitantis lingered. In medieval Europe, yawning in courtrooms or churches was quietly shamed. Monks in certain orders punished open-mouthed gestures with fasting. Even in the Renaissance, yawning in front of nobility was a subtle insult. A 1582 English pamphlet referred to it as the Roman offense. Modern society laughs at this now. But think about it. When was the last time you yawned in a meeting and didn't feel compelled to hide it? Corporate culture treats yawning as laziness. In school, it's disrespect. On dates, it's boredom. We still penalize yawning, not with shackles, but with judgment. It's been embedded in us for centuries. Science tried to rescue the yawn, linking it to oxygen intake, brain cooling, or even social bonding. But culturally, the mark remains. Yawning is still suspicious. We muzzle it out of habit. The irony, neuroscientists now believe yawning is contagious because of empathy. The more connected you are, the more likely you are to mirror a yawn. In ancient Rome, suppressing a yawn may have been suppressing your humanity. And now, in an age of cameras, algorithms, and facial recognition, the ghost of lex occitantis might be returning. AI can detect distraction. Boardrooms install behavior monitoring tech. Soldiers are trained to read nonverbal cues. Who's to say yawning won't once again be flagged as a risk factor? In 2021, a Chinese university used AI to monitor students during online exams. One flagged behavior: repetitive yawning. The system suggested the student was disengaged. The school launched an inquiry. We may have more freedom now than ancient Romans, but the mechanisms of control are subtler and more advanced. The yawn was never just a biological act. It was a symbol of rest, of rejection, of refusal. And in 2025, something extraordinary happened. At an archaeological dig site beneath the old Roman Forum, researchers uncovered a hidden chamber sealed since 50 BCE. Inside, a collection of scrolls, a death mask, and a small golden object shaped like an open mouth. One scroll bore a name, Vexillus. Below it, a phrase scratched in blood-colored ink. The game was never the arena. It was the crowd. And beneath that, a warning. He will return when the yawn is silenced again. To be continued. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exciting updates.